Hello, and welcome back to the channel, The PROWIRC Method, where we discuss topics in relationship to the book, Happiness and Well-Being through Balance and Progress, The PROWIRC Method. Today's topic is going to be one that a number of people have sort of reached out to me with lately, and that is people are saying, I appreciate all the concepts you go over and all the good ideas about, mission statements and goals and, all sorts of things that are in the book, Happiness and Well-Being Through Balance and Progress. And I really appreciate that. But I'm being broadsided by the news cycles constantly. And as a result, my motivation's gone way down. I don't find this is a good time for me for change or for improvement or for moving forward in my life. And so I just thought we'd take a little bit of time to think and talk about that today. First of all, I want to talk about the concept of news cycles. I think it's important to be sort of up on the news? Well, I actually do think it's somewhat important. I think people do need to be engaged. What's going on in the world, what's going on in their country, what's going on in their city, what's going on in their life. Do I think they need to get that information every hour of every day on their phone? No, I don't. Do I think that they need to even look at this information every night when they get home from work? Every morning when they get up, every time they put on their favorite YouTube channel. It's getting to be where there's 7 channels on either side of it, just giving you news items, and it's sort of that really clickbait, hard-hitting. This has now happened. That's now happened. That's now happened. This has now happened. Yeah. So first of all, with regard to that, let's talk about the idea of, okay, is it responsible for keep up in the news? Great, good. How many times a week do we really need to do that? You could decide if you think, okay, you know what, I'm a news hound. I really want to know. And maybe once a day for 15 minutes, you could catch up on the news. You could probably schedule that for yourself, knowing that outside of that time period, don't be addicted to the news. It's not a hobby. It's a thing you want to be aware of, and you want to go from there, but you want to select a certain time. With regard to YouTube, by the way, and of course, obviously this channel's on YouTube, so I go on YouTube to interact with the channel. I go also on YouTube to see all my favorite channel shows that I like to watch. I love to watch camera shows, and I like to watch shows on history, and I like to watch the odd show on politics, and I like to watch things on filmmaking. I mean, we all have our pet topics and things that we like to watch. But what if I notice in my newsfeed lately, or whatever it is that they call that thing on YouTube, where we just go scrolling through our own personal little YouTube world, and what you see there is there's suddenly, the topics that you're kind of really enjoying are in the minimum, like 1 in 10, 1 in 20, and the topics that are being thrown at you because of great clickbaiters, it's a lot of news topics, and they're like, there's 5 of those or 10 of those or 20 of those between every channel of anything that you're interested in, anything positive or any of your hobbies or any of your interests. Now, the one good thing I can tell you about your YouTube feed is that on each of those, when you start seeing, like I've got now between 2 channels that I'm interested in and my hobbies and maybe the one news thing that I like to watch, but then there's like 17 more news things clicking in there. I don't know if they're paying to do it or how that works, but YouTube does give you the option to go in there and say, this is not interesting to me. So you go to the 3 little buttons on the right side of the feed, you click on those and go, this is not interesting to me. Now, I'll tell you, I've had to do it. In the last 2 days, I did it a couple of times because I was getting that thing as well. I'm like, hey, wait, where are all these things I'm always interested in watching on YouTube? I'm just getting constant news cycle. So, and not only that, by, news mediums, I don't even know anything about. I mean, random names. And I think a lot of them are not even, it's almost like they're made up by AI, and there's all these shows that are just going on, with the same voice and that kind of thing, and it's all AI shows and 15 news cycle shows for your one favorite camera show. Anyway, Fortunately, YouTube does have that thing. You can go there and say, that's not interesting to me. That's not interesting to me. That's not interesting to me. Do you know, I only had to do that for about 10 minutes on 2 different days. And suddenly I look at the shows that I'm being shown again by YouTube. What do you think about this? It's back to a great balance of things that, that I enjoy. And so, I appreciate that this medium, helps us to do that. And so, I'm sure there's people trying to buy their way onto our screen there with a like clickbait, news cycle. Oh my God, this is crazy. This is la la la. No, YouTube does give you the option. Hit the 3 little white buttons and say, that's not interesting to me. So anyway, there's something to go with. The next thing is going to be that, well, Ron, my motivation's cut short because, this is creating a lot of worry for me. Okay, let's think about worry for a second. There's one activity you can absolutely partake in that provides absolutely no relief, no results, and no anything in the world. No benefits. And it's called worry. Worry, sitting around worrying about concepts is a thing that literally provides no answers, no solutions. While you're worrying, you're not actually solving any problems. You're just sitting there. In fact, worry sort of in some weird ways, and again, I think it's maybe that thing that kind of taps into our moment of interest, moment of worry, moment of excitement, moment of who knows what it is, but it's almost like worrying can be a hobby. So if you find yourself, I'm soaked up by all this worry and it's soaking up my my motivation, I say, great. Let's do what we do in the PROWIRC method system. Let's sit down, take 5 minutes and do a creative list of everything you can think of that's worrying you. Now, you can put in there things that worry you personally, things that can worry you in your life, things that you can put in the things that you're worrying, that you're seeing in your news cycle, that you're seeing on TV, that you're hearing on the radio, whatever. And here's the 2 lists. First of all, when we go down that list, we're going to say, great, what are the things after the 5 minutes? What are the things that are worrying me the most on this list? There might be 1, 2, 3. There might be 5. I don't know. There might be 6. You might have a list of these things and you think, you know what, Ron, I had 7 things on there and they're all worrying the daylights out of me. I said, great, no problem. So we're going to take those ones that literally are worrying you the most and we're going to divide those into 2 lists. One list is things we're willing to do something about. Okay. And the second list, if we're not willing to do an activity for, are things we're willing to forget about entirely. Because if there's anything that you're worried about that you're not prepared to do anything about, that worry is called a hobby. You're in the hobby. You're in the hobby of worry. And again, the hobby of worry does nothing for you. So these are the things I'm willing to do something about. These are the things I'm decided to forget about. Because if I'm not planning to do anything about them, I'm not going to worry about them at all. And only each person can choose, which things those are going to be. At that level as well, when I'm talking to people, again, to do with the book and, people that like to interact about that with me personally, email, phone calls, people that, that are aware of the book and know me and interact it one way or another and get a hold of me. And they say, well, Ron, one of the big things I'm worried about, I don't know that I can do about, but is politics. I'm worried about politics. I'm worried about politics in the news cycle. There's all kinds of things happening with that. Some of it's really good and some of it's really bad. And I will agree. There are all kinds of things happening that could worry people. So even with that, the one thing we have in common, all the countries in the Western world anyway, and it doesn't matter whether it's Canada or the US or the European countries or the UK or, we have that fortunate thing that for all of us, I'm in Canada. I have a lot of people interact with my channel that are from the US and from the UK and from all over the world. And I have friends in all of those countries. The one thing we do all have in common, we all have in our political setups, we all have representatives that represent us, that we have voted for, that are there not to do their job and their interests and their things, but they're supposed to be there doing the job we want them to do, and our interests and our worries and our concerns and our things. So if you have a thing that you think, oh no, that my worry is political, so I just got to keep worrying, I say to that as well, no. If you're either going to put it in there and do something about it or forget about it. Because worry on its own is a thing that actually brings you nothing at all. So you say, great, guess what? I'm going to get the phone number and the address or the email address or whatever of the representative who represents me and for my worry, instead of worrying, I'm going to contact that person and say, this is my worry. And I want you to worry about that. And in fact, if you don't see them worrying about that, you could call them the next week or the next day or the next month, or as often as you want until they do worry about it. Now, imagine in North America alone, we probably have, close to 400 million people that all have representatives. Now, imagine if the 400 million people called in with, I've got a worry I'd like you to look after. I think that, instead of them just being taken up with their, let's say in politics, a lot of times people might start off at a young age thinking, gee, I want to do something great for the world. And then so they become absorbed in it to a point where they start to say, oh, they also have to look after their own agendas and those people around them. And how do I move forward and all this and that. But if, honestly, 400 million people are calling them every week, I think they'll start to consider your agenda a lot more. But anyway, this is not to get into politics one way or another. It's the idea to get into the thing that if you're not going to take action on something, then it goes in your list of, I'm not going to worry about this. Because you only have two options: activity or forget it. Worry is simply a thing that creates nothing. So we can stroke that off our list. Worry is not a thing, that we're going to do, that we're going to get into. So the next thing I'm going to give you here today to sort of lighten up this thing about the problems with motivation are three things that you can do in your own life to actually loosen up your world and your time and your motivation and motivate you. So now we got that one. We're not going to worry about things that we're not going to take activities on. Anyway, I have this next point, and I've been using this a lot, and I think about this a lot myself. And if you want to have more room for your motivation, and you want to have more room for your power and your mission and your plans and your goals and your whatever, you need three things. And so let's think about that. The three things that I think you need, I don't know who will agree with me on this. I think everyone. I think you need more free time. I think you need more free money. And I think you need more free space. Okay. What is free time? And I'll tell you, in these things, and it sounds like free money. By free money, I don't mean free money falling your way. I mean more of your money that's not tied up. More of the time that you have in your life that's not tied up. More of the space you have in your life that's not tied up. And what do I mean? I mean not tied up by all the things that are not involved with your mission statement, all the things that are not involved with your goals, all the things that are not even involved with things that you're primarily interested with in your life. And we all are carrying a ton of this baggage around. So let's talk about the more free time. In the book, The Happiness and Well-Being Through Balance and Progress, PROWIRC method, in the chapter when we're talking about organization, which is O in the PROWIRC acronym, one of the things we do is we look at what it is we're organizing. So we say, okay, great, here's a whole list of things that we're trying to organize. Now, let's look at our mission statement. Let's look at our goals. Let's look at our interests. Let's look at all the parts, the areas of our PROWIRC and things that are important to us. Let's go over this list of all these things we're organizing. Let's go over all this list of things we're doing. Even when we get to, we get through the PROWIRC letters there, we get through to the second R's, even, relaxation, recreation. I know I've caught myself doing relaxation and recreation because, I've had friends over the years that were interested in a certain thing. I mean, I have to tell you, and I don't want to put it down because I love it, and I hope to do it again this summer too. But for 10 years in a row, I played golf every week of my life. And I got to tell you, I not only don't ever plan to become a professional golfer, I'm not even that interested in golf. I actually did it because I was interested in getting together with my friends, and I was interested in the exercise, and that type of thing. And I had to go through those exercises where I find, okay, what was the payoff? What was I looking for here? Some time with my friends. Do I have other ways to get that? Yes. That are more related to my goals? Yes. That are more related to what I want to do? Yes. What are the other things? I wanted some exercise. What, do I have other ways to get that are more related to my goals? Yes, yes, yes. And so I have to tell you, the very summer that I said to, guess what? I'm not getting the golf membership this year. What I'm doing, and that was last year, what I did in that time period instead, I finished my book, that I've been working on for 10 years, and it was important to me. And having it finished is not just important to me as a product. Having it finished is important to me as a life system to interact with. And I wasn't getting it finished because although I had done a ton of work and whatever, I was out playing golf every week that was actually frustrating the daylights out. I mean, now I wasn't doing that 7 days a week, and it was like, this guy, oh my God, all he has time to do is golf. He must know that was a weekly golf game. And, I don't begrudge anybody that. The truth of it is, I liked getting together with the guys so much, and now I try to invite them to other things, and I still want to get to, 4 games a year or whatever. But, that wasn't one of the things that was high on my priority list, and I got sucked into this world of doing it, and, no. I'm a musician. I've been a musician my whole life, and I play a lot of different instruments, and I like to go out and hear interesting bands and music that I like and enjoy other than playing out myself. And I also like to play out myself. But what happens? You get playing with the band, and a couple of years ago we got into that thing where we literally played every weekend, from May 24 weekend to October the 24th. And yeah, you have to say, okay, great. What am I doing with this? Am I planning to be Aerosmith? Do I need to be out on tour? No. I'm doing it for my own interests. I went out to hear other bands that I really liked and enjoyed. But then I start saying, well, gee, I should get out this night to support that person and that night to support that person and that kind of thing. And even though I really enjoyed them, but can I not just go enjoy them once a month? Yes, I can. Do I have goals and things that I need to do and my mission statement that covers other things I want to cover? Yes, I do. And and some people get into that groove kind of more naturally than others, but and some of us are well, all of us, I think we do get into that thing where friends of ours want us to do this and so wants us to do that, and then we like to support certain people that have like hobbies. So before you know it, you're 7 nights a week of chasing this thing, of looking after all of these things, that when you actually get back to your mission statement and your goals, I'm sorry, are not on there at all. Okay, so what did I do about that particular thing with the band? I said, hey guys, I can play out twice a month. I'll love that and enjoy it. It's not gonna negatively impact my goals. In fact, one of my things, would be to actually, as a musician, go out and play a couple times a month. That works for me for that. So we made that change, and it's worked out. It's worked out good ever since. I'm just suggesting that, okay, so for this free time, that's the free time thing. You can really look at things in your life that you just get carried away doing, that are honestly running off with you, and that with the best of intentions. But have your mission statement, have your goals, have your ideas, have your motivations, have the things that are important to you. You went over your PROWIRC, your power, relationships, organization, wealth, image, relaxation, creativity. You said, hey, there's things important to me in all those areas, whatever. So if you look at the activities you're doing and find that they're important to none of that for you, can that stuff get more free time? The next one, let's say free space. Well, one of the things that I have to say is, how many of us, all of us, I mean, we've even watched shows on television like, the Storage Wars, where people have had so much things in their lives that they've literally taken to storing it. They stored it to the point where they had it for years, and then they stopped paying it. Somebody died, or I don't know if they went in the hospital or they ran into financial hard times, or for whatever it is. Now we have all these storage lockers filled with crap, and, other people are bidding to buy them. But the truth of it is, we're living in this society of a gazillion storage lockers filled with crap we'll never see again. And I got to tell you, for that free for that free space in your life, it's already overflowing out of the space you live in to these storage lockers you're also paying for. So that becomes free space and free money. Free space in your house, in your property, where you live. Yeah, we have points of interest in there. We have things. I have a desk right here. I got this painting. I like it because it, behind the show, I wanted something to have a little bit of color and gusto. Great. Honestly, that's awesome. I don't need to have 17 other of these that I'm not using at all tucked in a closet. If you start going through the space that you do have and you start getting rid of things that aren't to do with your mission statements, aren't to do with your goals, aren't to do with, any part of your life, and you get rid of a bunch of crap that's taking up all your space, guess where you're going to have more space. So now we got more free time, we got more space. I hate to tell you, you already feel better. And if your free space is being taken up to the point that you're literally renting storage units for stuff you can't even remember what the hell's in there, now gets to our next free topic. More free money. Here, most of the people in our society today, and I know everyone says, well, things are expensive and there's inflation and there's this and there's that, and there might be. But I'll tell you, in this day and age in the society, particularly in the Western world, you could take an apartment filled with stuff right now, and which I had to do, when I looked after some things that belonged to my grandmother, when she passed away, and I had to move some things along. And, of course, you keep some mementos and you try to get rid of everything else. Tried to give away everything, tables, chairs, furniture, all kinds of items. Try to give it to anyone. Try to give it to charity. Nobody wanted it because we have so much stuff that we do not need. And guess what? We have closets filled with things that we buy and that we have bought that send us to work every day. So when you're out there, when you have your money and you go out there and you earn your money in your life, and that money, comes into you, and but then you go and you spend it all on closets and closets and storage units and basements filled with crap you are never going to use. Guess what all that stuff becomes? It becomes your employer, because that stuff has taken all your money and you got to go out and get more money. So you want to have more free money? Start thinking to yourself, I need to look at the thing as though we have it in here under the topic of wealth. Look at my budget. Look at the things I'm buying. Has any of this to do with any of my mission statements, any of my goals, any of the activities that are important to me in my life? And what we're going to find out is, I hate to tell you this, you're going to have rooms and closets and buildings and storage units filled with crap that's sending you to work, that sucked up all your money, that says, oh, no, you need to now work 50 hours a week because you got 2, 3, 4 garages filled with, I don't know, old sports cars you haven't used, or, boats you're going to fix up, or whatever. Now, there's always going to be the people that say, I don't have that going on. I don't, if you have a building that's got extra boats and cars and this and that, that's more money. That's a different thing. That I'm not even in that league. Well, let me tell you, it doesn't take much to be in any of these leagues, because the next league is the people that say, okay, guess what? Let's say I have a minimum income. Minimum income people go out every week and buy all kinds of stuff they don't need. You're being sent to work by this. So let's get back to want to free up our motivation, want to free up your life. You need more free space. Stop collecting crap you do not need. More free time. Stop doing a bunch of things that don't relate to anything in your life that's even slightly interesting to you. And more free money. Well, guess what? When you're not buying a lot of crap you don't need, and you're not renting extra space to house it in, and and you're not out doing activities that you don't even give a rat's ass about, honestly, just out of a habit, you're going to have more free money, more free space, more free time. You have those things, you're going to have, more motivation. Don't forget the idea that we talked about earlier about limiting the amount of time you spend looking at the news cycles. And don't forget the thing we said about worry is not a thing that solves anything. So you decide, put it in 2 lists. What am I going to solve? And come up with one activity that I can actually help to move toward that. Or what am I going to forget about entirely? Because worry is not a thing. The last thing we're going to give you here in this show today, and to help with all this take away your worries is something at any time your mind's getting too taken up with worries and crap that you need to get rid of, I would like you to consider saying this mantra. And I've been saying it to myself a lot. I really like it. I really enjoy it. And maybe you could say it. The mantra is this: I am a unique being, separate from my situation. I possess the godlike power of creativity, and I choose the power of creativity and thankfulness over